Hey guys, I'm Michael Allen from TravelCostaRicaNow.com, and this is another in our expat interviews. And I'm gonna tell you, you guys are gonna be jealous, extremely jealous.
A little bit.
Matter of fact, this could be a movie, a Disney movie, like Pretty Woman, only kind of like that.
Tropical.
Yeah, tropical. Anyway, we're talking to Anika. A little bit of background. She's been out here 9 years. We're gonna kind of tell her story because it's way cool, and it's like the perfect like love story.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I
so-
lucked out.
So I think they're going to be a little jealous, don't you think?
I hope so.
Anyway, this is Anika. She's lived here again for 9 years, and we're going to talk to her. Okay, let's start from the beginning. How did you get here?
I came down in 2005 to originally be a volunteer. Had been hearing about Costa Rica for a long time. Got a call to have an opportunity to come down and be a volunteer for about 5-6 months. I was not completely sure about it at first, a little hesitant.
But with no idea of staying here, just
No,
volunteering.
this was just a volunteer. Just come for 6 months, volunteer, take a break from normal life in California. That's where I come from. So that's what I did. I sublet my apartment and had my mom watch my cat and came down for 6 months. I spent 5 months way down on the South Pacific, little peninsula called La Osa. So really close to Corcovado. I had no electricity, nothing like that.
So when the sun went down, you were.
They had a generator with some lights for a couple of hours, but no, I mean, no internet, no TV. Oh my gosh, that's where I really learned to read and read and read.
But something special happened.
Yes, so about maybe 4 months in, or so, yeah, let's say 4 months. A really gorgeous man came through the lodge as a guide, and he had some people with him, and we got to meet one night. I was enamored from the moment that I saw him. But you know, we hung out with, he knew the people from the lodge. I knew the people from the lodge because I'd been there for several months. So, you know, we had dinner and we watched a movie together and just kind of all hung out. And I woke up pretty excited the next day for breakfast. First time I'd ever been excited for, you know, rice and beans after every day eating rice and beans for 5 months in a row. Expecting to see this gentleman, and he was gone. The weather had changed and they woke him up early and he took his group and left and he was not there.
And you were sad.
I was heartbroken. I won't even lie. I tried to get his email, his phone number. I tried to find a way to contact him. Nobody at the lodge had any way of getting a hold of him. So he was.
So you just think he's good? Okay,
he's
that was
gone.
fun.
No,
we had a great night, but I'm never gonna probably see him again.
Yeah, and I would have preferred to maybe had a better night, but that didn't happen. Let's say, but yes, I thought he was gorgeous and wonderful and spiritual and just kind of the man that I would connect with in life. But he was gone after one night, and that was it.
So let's fast forward. Now you're up across the country in Tortuguero.
Yeah.
What happened up there?
Yeah, so, well, I volunteered for 5 months and I had a month off to just go and travel and kind of check out the country because I was living in such an isolated place. You can't even really get out for a weekend, right? So I had a month to just travel around and talk to a lot of people, got some ideas like if I loved it there, where else should I go visit? And Tortuguero was highly recommended to me, you know, loving nature and certain things. So found a random tour company off the internet and booked a tour. Got picked up at San Jose at 5 o'clock in the morning and traveled all day out there through the canals and everything and got to the lodge, dropped my stuff. We were really late for lunch and I'm walking to lunch and actually this voice is like, no, you know, if you're looking for the pool, you're going the wrong way. Because I guess the path that goes to the pool also leads to like the laundry room. So I turn around and there he was and I was dumbfounded.
That knight in shining armor.
Yes, the man I had asked the universe to bring back into my life was standing right in front of me once again. And I said, what are you doing here? And he said, well, what are you doing here? And I said, no, what are you doing? Like, I mean, I seriously must have looked like I had seen, I don't know. I was so surprised. And he said, well, I'm working, of course, because that's what he does, takes people all around the country. And so he said, come out to the beach, you know, we're going to go play some soccer. And I said, well, we have to have lunch first because we hadn't eaten and they were holding lunch for us. And I went out to the beach and lo and behold, he was there and I found him again.
So you obviously went back to the States after volunteering was over, and
Yeah.
obviously you guys kept in contact.
We did. It was a little difficult because he was working on a ship at the time, so he didn't even, you know, always have
He's
access
Tico,
to email.
right?
He's Costa Rican,
Okay.
yeah. Puro Tico, yeah. And you know, this was before smartphones and maybe a little bit of Skyping back then, but you know, it was definitely before we had all of this technology and WhatsApp and FaceTime.
So
and
if
all
you
these
wouldn't
things.
have met him, you would have just gone back to your job at like what I don't know, Dow Chemical, General Electric, wherever it was, and just go back into it. Or were you already kind of on the path of changing your life, and that just you know,
I was definitely on the
this
path to
seems so
changing my
serendipity.
life.
This seems so perfect that. But what were you thinking?
I was definitely on the path to changing my life. I did not want to go back to corporate America or anything. I definitely was in love with traveling even before I had come here, and I did, but even before
and
I had met
obviously
him.
fell in love with Costa Rica
I fell
as well.
in love with Costa Rica before I fell in love with him. Obviously, the combo was perfect. To be honest, I don't know if I would have
Come back.
come back to live. I know I would have come back to visit. I loved the people, the culture, the nature. I can't really tell you that I would necessarily be living here though if I had not fallen in love.
So guys, fast forward. She's back in San Diego about a year and a half. She packs it all up, sells everything, gets her life in order, and freaking comes out to Costa Rica.
Yeah, I moved out here for love.
Who
yeah.
does that?
I moved out here for love. Everybody thought I was crazy. They were very supportive, I must admit. I mean, my family, my mom.
Well, there is a little crazy in you.
Oh,
I
I'm
can
totally
see
crazy.
why they might have said
I'm
that.
totally crazy. But they were really supportive. You know, my family was like, if you're happy, we're happy. I've
Now,
never.
were you worried? Were you worried at all? Or was this
I
just because at
wasn't.
first you were just thinking, I'm gonna go down for a couple months, see if it kind of. Were you prepared to come back? You know what I mean?
I was
Like,
prepared to come back if it didn't work. I knew if it worked, I would be here forever. Like, and that it took me a little bit longer to get down here than what I originally thought, and I know that was very sad to my now husband. I know he was waiting anxiously, and what I thought would be 3 months probably was more like 9 by the time I really cut all the ties and cleared everything up. But I had a feeling in my heart. I knew in my heart if I moved down here and this worked and we worked, I did not see myself going back to the States. No.
now you were doing which your
Microbiology.
Microbiology, but what were you planning on doing? What were you thinking about? What were you going to do down here? How were you going to work?
All right, so on that same tour, so the last 2 weeks that I was here after the volunteering thing, so I had a month to travel. My last 2 weeks, my brother came to visit me, and so I saved some things to go do with him, whitewater rafting, zip lining, things like this. I'm up in Monteverde, and I meet a woman working for a company at the time called Gap, now is G Adventures, doing these tours. So she's getting paid to zip line and go whitewater rafting and snorkeling and watch monkeys and do all this cool stuff. And so I had her write in the back of my journal because I just thought if I come back, that's what I want to do. You know, I know it sounds crazy, and maybe I have to admit, I was a little nervous about the whole language barrier thing. My Spanish wasn't amazing. I couldn't really imagine myself coming down here and being, let's say, a microbiologist or a botanist, even with my training. I was a little nervous, but I just thought, this woman gets paid to do all the cool stuff here. Like, I want to do
Travel
that.
around.
Travel around. So I always kept that. So before I came down, I told everybody I'm going to go there for a couple months. Just make sure it works. You know, I'm moving in with this guy that I've never lived with, that I just know I'm in love with, but you know, who knows exactly what's going to happen. And after a couple months, if I feel like, yep, this is good, I'm going to stay. I'm going to apply with this company. I'm going to get this tour leading job, and this is what I'm going to do. And that's exactly what happened. Everybody thought it was crazy.
And so you're doing it now, right? So
yeah,
just so we're clear, so what she does now, guys, is she's working for G Adventure,
Adventures.
taking people around, doing her life, living her life, and she's got this guy that's
Amazing.
yeah, shut up. Would you recommend this to anybody else?
Of course. I don't know. If you are willing to follow your heart, and I guess more important than anything, if you don't want any regrets in life, that was really what I thought. I had never done anything like this, moved.
But this was
done-
basically like opportunity knocking, and you just opened the door on this one, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
between
much.
the volunteering, it knocking on the door, and then me falling in love, and he was actually very willing to go to San Diego, which I thought was great, but I said, no.
No way, I won't.
No, are you crazy? Of course I'm going to Costa Rica. I'm in love with Costa Rica.
Now, has anything surprised you once you moved down here? I know you were here for 5 or 6 months, but once you moved down here, was there anything you were like, oh, wow, I didn't know it was like that? Or was there a couple things that you were like, don't really care for that?
I mean, some things I get.
The regular stuff?
The
Like-
regular stuff. And in a way, yes and no. Okay, like something that kind of threw me for a whirl was once we finally got married and I wanted to apply for residency. You know, they have this checklist of 28 things that you need to check off, and you turn it in and they say 90 days. You know, 3 months, 90 days. Well, it took 2 years for them to approve that, which in a way it's a government. Like, why am I actually surprised that, a government office takes 2 years to process paper that, really probably honestly takes them a day to actually look over and give a stamp and say, yes, everything's here.
But you're kind of the person, we were talking about this earlier, and I'm kind of like this too. You could literally live anywhere, couldn't you?
I think
and
I
kind of
could.
acclimate to whatever it was.
Yes.
No matter if it was.
And given the right chance or opportunity, I'd be willing to live almost anywhere for a certain amount of time. Absolutely.
I almost wish you were here as a single woman for a while, just for those kind of experiences you might have had as a single woman, because I'm sure that would be interesting, because there's a little bit of a macho thing going on here. And all that.
Well, I mean, I even have guys sometimes, approach me or walk past me and say something, and I like show them my ring and say, no, I'm married, and they say, I don't care, and I say, well, my husband does. He will kick your ass. So
your whole life, you don't have any plans on going back. Your
No.
life is pretty much here.
Yeah, I don't see us going back. I mean, who knows? Obviously, again, we are both actually very, very open. He got a job offer in Ecuador for a couple years. We took it. I'm sure if we got a job offer for New Zealand or Spain or maybe anywhere else for a couple of years, this is home. As soon as I got off that plane from Ecuador, even like I knew I was home. Not even California. Like I didn't even want to leave Ecuador to go back to California. I wanted to leave Ecuador to come back here. Like this is my home. I get off that plane, and every ounce in my being just knows that this is where I'm supposed to be.
Besides your husband, what do you love most about your life? You know what I mean? Like what?
I love.
Give some pearls of wisdom to people that are watching you right now on their little couch, maybe in Detroit, and going,
Well,
man.
Detroit, the weather then, obviously. But honestly, I love the pace of life. In San Diego, I was driving an hour each way to go to traffic. And everything was busy. Go, go, go. Plans.
Schedule. Mark it off. Task.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm still a huge fan of to-do lists because I'm kind of a dork. But I love just my pace of life here. I love how simple things are in a way. I love how happy people are. I mean, I see people that have nothing compared to what they'd have in the States, or 8 people living in a 2-bedroom home. And they are the happiest people in the world. And if you had 8 people living in a 2-bedroom house in San Diego with that amount of resources or land or whatever, I mean, they would just be
we'd
miserable.
kill people. It'd be in the National Enquirer.
Yeah, and here everyone is, I mean, I just feel like they'd give you the shirt off their back. They're so happy. It's relaxed. It's everything that I really didn't know that I wanted in life that now I feel like I cannot live without.
Who shouldn't come here?
If you are stressed, and if you are just somebody that gets easily stressed, and I guess, or I don't know, just annoyed.
Because they do things different here.
Yeah, because you need to be prepared to slow down and not stress and not worry. I mean, that is the pura vida lifestyle, right? So if you can't really sit back, relax, if you can't go to a restaurant and wait 5 minutes for somebody to bring you a menu, and then maybe ask for your bill and wait another 10 minutes, and you just can't really sit back and relax in life and enjoy those small things, you're not going to maybe like it here at all. If you loved New York City and you needed stuff to be open 24/7 like Las Vegas, and you needed all of that, this might not be your place for any extended amount of time. But this, for me, works perfectly.
Man, this is a fairy tale kind of thing you had going. I've talked to a lot of people here, and can't think of anybody else that's kind of done, agreeing to coming down here, marrying a Tico. I know some people have done it, but it hasn't worked out quite as maybe good as this one.
Yeah, no, I have not a complaint in the world.
And if he thinks he's not coming into this camera shot by the end of this video so everyone can see who he is sadly mistaken, because I will take the camera and chase him around the yard.
Me too.
So he either comes over here and gives you a kiss on the cheek, or we chase him around. What do you think?
We'll leave that up.
Fast runner.
we'll leave that up to him then.
Anyway, so here's who we're talking about. You can introduce him as your husband.
Well, I call him mi amor, my love.
Mwah.
This is 9 years, guys. This is sickening. He brought her a bracelet today this morning.
I know. Look it. I got a bracelet. I actually thought it was for him, and I was just checking it out, and he bought it for me. So.
you guys. Anyway, guys, I think this video is more about being ready for an opportunity that you might have missed if you're not watching, and you obviously took in. It's been working out great for you. Anyway, guys.
No regrets. No
thanks,
regrets.
Anika. Thank you very much. And you, I'm Michael Allen, travelcoastarica.now.com. Peace, guys. Hope it helps.
Bye.